Today, India is facing innumerable problems in the water sector. The prolonged mismanagement of natural resources has resulted in a rising scarcity of water for irrigation and domestic uses. To avert future crises, region-sensitive management of water resources is vital. The semi-arid, drought-prone region of Rayalseema in Andhra Pradesh, like the rest of the Deccan Plateau, lacks access to perennial, glacier-fed rivers such as those in northern India. The Rayalseema region depends solely on rainfall for its irrigation and water needs. The meager waters of the rain-fed rivers Pennar and Krishna that border the Rayalseema region remain inaccessible for irrigation, as the undulating topography of Rayalseema makes canal irrigation highly unsuitable. The agroclimatic conditions of this region are specially suited to the use of tanks for rainwater harvesting. Since Vedic times, Rayalseema has relied on tanks and wells for 75% of its irrigation and water needs. In the last century, however, the area irrigated by tanks in this region has declined by an alarming 66%. The sloping terrain of Rayalseema receives 500 to 700 millimeters of annual rainfall during its brief 3-month monsoon. The shallow sandy topsoil of this region is unable to absorb the high-intensity rainfall and allows large amounts of rainwater to run off. The velocity of the runoff water is increased by the undulating slopes, and the runoff water erodes valuable topsoil. Wastage of rainwater and land degradation caused by erosion has resulted in desertification and severely damaged agricultural productivity.
The soils of this area are also called as the chalka soils. These chalka soils means these are red, sandy soils. They do not have much of water holding capacity. So during the crop growing season, there are periods of drought where the crop yields are low, the crop yields are very variable, and a lot of rainwater goes as runoff or is lost for crop production.
Tanks, or Cheruvus as they are locally known, are specially suitable for rainwater harvesting and storage. The runoff waters from the elevated areas, known as catchment areas, flow along the natural gradient and are collected into the tank. The fields lower along the natural gradient, which use tank water for irrigation, are known as the tank's command area. A tank resembles a basin with 3 sides. These embankments are known as the bund of the tank. When a tank is at full capacity, about once in 10 years, an excess weir allows surplus water to flow out. Tank water usage is controlled by a sluice gate built into the tank bund. When the sluice gate is lifted, the stored tank water flows out to provide irrigation to the command area. Until the 18th century, over 15,000 tanks were functioning efficiently in Rayalseema, supporting a flourishing agriculture and livestock economy. In the 1860s, laws centralizing revenue collection took the control of tanks out of the hands of local people. Over the last century, tank systems in Rayalseema have declined, leading to an alarming scarcity of water. Mismanagement of tank systems and the use of standardized solutions like bore wells has severely depleted the groundwater table in Rayalseema. Along with human hardship, the diminishing groundwater table also has serious environmental implications. Desertification has already begun in Rayalseema. In the early 1990s, SPWD, the Society for Promotion of Wastelands Development, started a tank rehabilitation program in Rayalseema funded by the Royal Netherlands government. SPWD chose tanks as a key to promote the joint management of forest, land and water resources at a grassroots level. In the short time since, SPWD, with the help of its local NGO network, has guided 45 tank restorations and provided financial support to 20.
Those days before restoration, there was no water. We had no crops. There was no work. So we had to migrate and we had nothing but gruel to feed our children.
After restoration, we don't have to migrate. Now we are settled farmers. This has given us credibility. The banks, the government and the landlords have trust in us. We need no one's surety. We can get loans and also repay them.
The catchment areas of tanks often border one side of the tank. This allows the runoff rainwater to drain along the natural gradient directly into the tank. When there is a distance between a tank and its catchment area, feeder channels need to be built to divert the catchment area's runoff water into the tank. The collected water is retained within the tank by the bund. A tank bund consists of one major embankment across the line of drainage and two embankments that run along backwards up to the line of drainage. Bunds are built using traditional stone revetment and sand or with cement and stone. On the rare occasions when the tank water reaches the limit of the bund height, there is a danger of leaks or breaches due to the water's pressure on the bund. A breach in the tank bund would flood the fields in the command area and devastate the crops. The water pressure on the bund is relieved through an excess weir. An excess weir allows the surplus water to flow out and drain into a larger tank. This indigenous system of linked tanks along the natural gradient of the land ensures the optimal conservation of Rayalseema's meager water resources. The usage and distribution of tank water is controlled by the sluice gate. Sluice gates are built into the tank bund at various heights, and the appropriate gate is opened depending on the tank's water level. There are various types of sluice gates. Some sluice gates are very basic stone-blocked structures prone to leakages. Other sluice gates have simple rod attachments used to lift up the gate. A lock and key sluice gate is advisable to ensure that tank water is used fairly by all. The tank water flows out of the sluice gate into the low-lying fields of the command area through supply channels which can be blocked and unblocked according to irrigation needs of specific crops. Cultivation in catchment areas, along with severe erosion and desertification, have led to the loss of green cover in many of the catchment areas in Rayalseema. The high-velocity runoff waters during the monsoon carry silt from the catchments and deposit it along feeder channels and into the tanks. Silt accumulation causes blockages in feeder channels. Build-up of silt in the tank raises the tank beds, thus decreasing the water holding capacity of the tank. To restore tank efficiency, good forest cover must be maintained in the catchment areas. Feeder channels must also be regularly desilted to ensure optimal collection and regulation of harvested rainwater. Bunds, sluice gates and excess weirs also need regular maintenance as foliage and burrowing animals weaken these structures. Leaks around sluice gates and excess weirs cause wastage of precious tank water. A weakened bund is prone to breaches. Until the breach is repaired, the tank lies dry, leaving large areas of arable land fallow due to the lack of vital irrigation during the crop growing season. In Anantapur district, the villagers of Bhusayagaripalli have returned to agriculture after 5 years, following the rehabilitation of their village tank by SPWD and their local partner, the Rural Development Society. To increase the water holding capacity of this tank, desiltation of the tank bed was one option. However, raising the height of the bund by 1 meter proved to be a cheap alternative. This effectively increased the tank's water holding capacity. The villagers used the saved money to repair the tank's leaking sluice gate. The villagers, with the help of SPWD, constructed supply channels through which tank water flows to the command area. These supply channels, using gravitational flow, have made distribution of irrigation water a less labor-intensive task. Appropriate maintenance of the sluice gate and these supply channels minimizes water wastage. The excess weir, which had sprung leaks, was also repaired.
The villagers have contributed their 25% towards tank restoration through labor.
Now there's work for everyone and our children can have a better future.
This tank's command area is now green with paddy. In Adepalli village in Anantapur district, the village surface irrigation tank was converted into a percolation tank. By sealing the sluice gates, the water is left standing in the tank. This water slowly percolates through the tank bed into the underground aquifers. Percolation tanks raise the groundwater table in the area. Farmers can access the water using wells. 1 year after the Adepalli tank was converted into a percolation tank, the area irrigated by the 9 bore wells around the tank rose by 24 acres. In Atmakur village, repair work was carried out on the tank bund, excess weir and sluice gate. As is common in regions with semi-arid agroclimatic conditions, severe drought hit the area in 1997. The harvest of the Atmakur farmers was spared solely due to the stable supply of irrigation from the repaired tank. In Kalpanayana Agraharam, the local villagers used traditional stone revetment to strengthen the tank bund. Despite high costs, they saved part of the funds by contributing labor and now intend to use the money to repair the tank's sluice gate. Their efforts ensured that in spite of the drought in 1997, local farmers harvested 2 crops. Apart from increases in command areas, tank restoration has enabled farmers to have 2 crop growing seasons by providing irrigation during the dry season. Farmers are now also able to grow more commercially viable crops like paddy with less risk, thereby doubling their annual income.
Our life is only agriculture. To grow crops, we need water. The tank was there before, but was in disrepair. We couldn't even irrigate 400 acres. Now after restoration, it's good. We can irrigate 600 acres with the excess water.
In addition to boosting agriculture in Rayalseema, tank restoration has also given rise to various tank-related employment-generating schemes.
There are about 30 educated unemployed young people in the village. They have decided to start a brick-making unit using the desilted soil from the tank bed to make the bricks. They also plan to cultivate fish in the tank. Both these activities will be started within this year, and they estimated that they will earn over 2 lakhs per year. These activities will generate income for them and also contribute to the tank's maintenance. Before restoration, we used to earn about 6,000 rupees per year, but now we can be sure of 10 to 15.
Our first crop was very good. After taking the second crop, there was still water left in the tanks, so we planted the third crop. Before the harvest of the third crop, the tanks had filled up again.
The improvements in the economy of this region have led to various social benefits. Alongside the agricultural benefits, tank rehabilitation has also had various environmental benefits. Due to the rise in groundwater levels, many open wells have been recharged and bore wells are overflowing. Tanks also provide water for livestock that earlier had to be slaughtered during the dry season. The planting of the local agave cacti along feeder channels checks land degradation by preventing the erosion of valuable topsoil. This also decreases silt accumulation in tank beds and feeder channels. Thus, tank maintenance is inextricably linked with the maintenance of the region's environment. This traditional system, however, is only sustainable if long-term regular maintenance is provided for the tanks. To encourage the active participation of local farmers in tank and water management, tank management committees were formed for each village tank.
Money was handed over to them. All the decisions regarding the technologies to be employed or material to be used left to them. In this process, we got very good results. We given them total transparency. Budgets are prepared on the spot with them.
Returning control of tanks and their waters to the local farmers is a major step towards re-establishing traditional tank systems in Rayalseema. Hoping to create a sense of ownership and responsibility for the tanks amongst the local villagers, SPWD demands that local people contribute labor towards tank restoration. This methodology ensures the sustainability of maintenance and development of the village tanks. Innumerable dysfunctional tanks still lie in the way of a tank revolution, which, if realized, will bring about a holistic regeneration of Rayalseema's environment and ecology, proving that man and nature can work in harmony.